Our first story is a perfect example. It's a combination of danger, determination, and divine intervention. Amy Maxwell was 16 years old and living with her family in Huntsville, Alabama, when she became involved with a fellow high school student named David.
We didn't date very long, and I got pregnant. I was 17, and I was living at home. And so halfway through my pregnancy, he started to live with us at my dad's house. And then after Bradley was born, he lived there for about 2 months, 2 or 3 months, and then we split up.
Young Bradley became the center of a bitter fight between his teenage parents. When he was 2, they both hired lawyers, and a custody hearing was set for January 1999.
A week before Christmas, he called me real upset and was crying and wanted to see Bradley for Christmas. And so I told him that he could get him that Tuesday morning, but he had to have him home Christmas Eve because we had family coming.
You ready to go?
I'll be back on Christmas Eve, right?
No problem. 6 o'clock. Come on, buddy. There you go.
He picked him up Tuesday morning, and Christmas Eve comes, and he doesn't show up. So I start thinking, well, maybe I'm supposed to go get him. So I leave and go to his house.
David!
And nobody's there, nobody answers the door. So I went around to the back door, and he's in there talking, but he won't answer the door.
David, I know you're in there!
The glass is missing from one of the panes on the door. And so I reached in to open the door.
Amy went inside to find her son, but what she discovered caught her completely off guard.
He had a shotgun pointed at me.
You're breaking and entering. Yes.
And had 911 on the phone and told 911 that somebody was breaking in the house and he was going to shoot him.
Oakwood Drive.
Tell me where you took my son!
He's not here, and you're not getting him.
And he wouldn't tell where Bradley was at. And since legally neither of us had custody, it was whoever physically had him.
A week later, the day before the custody hearing, David had still not returned her son, and the situation was about to explode.
I got up at like 7:30, let the dog out to go to the bathroom. I left the door kind of cracked, because that's, just what I usually do. And I went back in my room to get my clothes out of the closet.
Moments later, David entered the house through the open door and quietly climbed the stairs to Amy's bedroom.
I'm standing in the closet, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and as I turned, he grabbed me, and we fell back into my closet. He had a roll of tape in his hand, and he was trying to get my arms together to tape them together. And we fought for about 20 minutes before he actually was physically able to sit on me and get my arms taped together. So he taped me at my knees and my wrists and my ankles.
Where are the keys at? Where are the car keys?
He went outside to get the car keys, and I was trying to find the phone. I found the phone, and I was trying to dial 911.
But before she could dial the numbers, David was back in the room.
What are you doing?
He tried to suffocate me, cover my mouth, and cover my nose. I struggled with him, and then I pretended like I passed out.
As she laid there pretending to be unconscious, he wrapped her limp body in a blanket and carried her out the back door.
I see my car with the trunk open. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going in the trunk. He put me in the trunk, shut the trunk, got in the car, and left.
Amy's terrifying ordeal continues when It's a Miracle returns. When Amy Maxwell agreed to let the estranged father of her child take him for the weekend before Christmas, she had no idea what was to follow. When he didn't return the boy, she went to his home to confront him, but instead found herself staring down the barrel of a shotgun. A week later, he unexpectedly entered her home, attacked her, tied her up with duct tape, and attempted to suffocate her, stopping only after she feigned unconsciousness. The next thing she knew, she was being stuffed into the trunk of her car and driven away. Where was he taking her? What would he do when they got there? Amy wasted no time working the tape off her face and then started on her hands.
He had taped my hands in front of me, so all I had to really do was just get it with my teeth and unroll it. And once I had my hands undone, I just took it off my legs. I mean, I rode in there forever. I mean, the whole time I'm like, going in between crying and praying and freaking out. And the next thing I remember was I heard on the radio, it was Chattanooga, USO. That's their radio station. And I was like, I'm in Tennessee. And I'm thinking, nobody knows that I'm gone from my house. Nobody's gonna know I'm gone.
After several hours on the road, David was forced to stop for gas. Amy had no idea where or why he'd stopped until she heard the gas cap coming off. It was then that she began kicking and screaming for help. David just turned the radio up as loud as it would go.
Help me!
But he'd underestimated Amy's ingenuity in the face of danger.
Speaker wires run in the back of the trunk. And I ripped the speaker wires and started screaming and was kicking the trunk. I could hear him run around the car and jump back in, and he took off.
It was a great idea, yet it failed to attract the attention of anyone who could help. But it helped convince Amy that she wasn't powerless.
That's where I got the idea to take out the brake lights. I took all the tail lights out because they just kind of snap in. And I was thinking, maybe he would get pulled over for not having any brake lights or tail lights. And I thought that's going to require a police officer to get behind us and to actually see and then pull him over. So then I started thinking about stuff that was in my car. My car has a standard jack that comes with the car, and the handle comes off. And I shoved it through the hole and I busted out the taillight. And I could see that we were on the highway. I could see behind me. And whenever cars would get close, I would start sticking stuff out of the taillight. Like paper towels and my finger, the jack handle, and the light. I would stick the light in the hole and try to flash,
None of the passing motorists seemed to take any notice of her desperate attempts to get their attention. But Amy was about to experience a miracle. The dramatic conclusion, right after this. It's been over 4 hours since Amy Maxwell was kidnapped and stuffed into the trunk of her car. During that time, another couple, Terry and Dale Schroeder, experienced an unusual set of delays as they returned from their vacation. They'd started out later than planned, stopping at an unscheduled place on the map and leaving again just in time to end up behind Amy's car. As they followed the car, something caught Dale's eye.
Terry, look at that. That's sure odd.
Tail light lens was broken, but the light bulb kept on coming in and out of the hole.
What is that?
So I said, there's something strange about the back of that car. And I told her, I said, watch that. And I said, let's see what happens with it.
That's weird.
I had thought at one time that a car was following us, but then they would back off. I thought that nobody knew that I was there.
And I said, well, I'm going to just watch it for a while. So I caught back up with him, stayed behind him. And pretty soon paper started coming out, just this little hole in the tail light. And then the tire tool would come out, wiggle around, and then go back in. And at one time she said that she thought she saw a finger, and we thought maybe it was a college prank. I pulled up beside and passed him, and she said, no, there's nothing out of the ordinary on the inside.
So,
Somebody in there.
there has to be someone locked in the trunk. It couldn't be anything else.
Basically, every scenario we could come up with was not good. So we decided we better do something.
Why don't you call the cops?
Well, what would we tell them, though? They'll think we're nuts. Yeah.
It's just not something you see every day, so you just don't consider that somebody's actually locked in the trunk.
Look, there he is. Look.
So we thought, if we're stupid, we're stupid. If not, so what?
Ma'am, I hope you don't think this is a prank or something, but
A little embarrassed and unsure of what was happening, Dale and Terry felt they couldn't let it go, and they called 911.
We kind of told them we don't know if it's really something, but we think it's strange, and they took it seriously right away.
They would ask us what location we're at or what exit, what mile marker, and we'd tell them.
yeah, well, we can
And I
say
finally
all
told them, I said, well, we just passed a police car back there. And then they came back and said, okay, he's got you in sight.
I didn't even know that somebody had called 911. I didn't even know that anybody had told the police. I didn't have any idea. And when I saw the police car, I started just putting light in there, sticking stuff out. I mean, I was doing it fast. And they pulled him over. And when they pulled us over, I started, just screaming and hitting the trunk.
I'm in the trunk! Help me, please!
Driver, step out of the car.
Please help me!
Lay down, face down.
Please help me!
Are you okay? You need an ambulance?
I was okay. I was just a little scratched, a little bruised, really scared.
Amy was taken to the hospital and released without injury. David was taken to jail, where he remains today.
He never said really what he was planning on doing. And I really don't like to speculate because it's just scary.
During his interrogation, David told authorities that their son was safe in his grandfather's care.
First time I saw my son in 2 weeks was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I woke him up. The next morning, I got up and I went to court. The judge awarded me full custody, and any visitation with his family is at my discretion.
Several weeks later, Amy was finally able to meet the Schroeders and thank them for what they had done. They formed an instant bond.
They're like family now. They're people that I intend to be in touch with forever, so.
We have a connection. Now it'll be a lifelong connection. As far as we're concerned, she's one of our children now. She's kind of been adopted into our family.
What's that face?
Today, Amy's happily raising her son, thanks to the Schroeders and the miraculous set of circumstances that put their lives together.
Left at noon rather than at 6 in the morning like we always did. We stopped early, which was unusual. And then the next morning, we started late,
Terry, look at that.
which
That's
put us
your arm.
on an intercept course with the car, which I believe was God's timing.
Truly, I believe that somewhere, some divine power put me in touch with the Schroeders to find me, to get me home to my son. That would be the miracle, I think.
In April, Amy's ex-boyfriend pled guilty to a federal kidnapping charge. He was later sentenced to more than 4 years in prison.